Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Good morning to our honorable lecturer and dear friends. First of all, let us present thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for His blessing and merit, so that we are able to attend this webinar today in good health. As the moderator, I would like to welcome and thanks all participants for attending today's webinar entitled Book Review Presentation. Before we begin, let me explain today's agenda. First, we will start with the presentation of the book review. Second, we will continue with the question and answer session. And last, we will have a closing session. Without taking much of your time, allow me to introduce our presenter today. The presenter for the session are Najwa Rizky Amalia, Marshanda, Rasha Ramadhani, Dear Mukti Asri, and myself, Lisrina Parida Ramadanti. We will present a book review of practice of translation. In this presentation, we will explain the content of the book and highlight its key point as a summary of the books. Now we will move to the presentation session. As the first presenter, I would like to begin the presentation. In this slide, I will explain the introduction to translation studies. Definition of translation. Translation is not simply changing word from one language to others. It is the process of transferring meaning from the source language to the target language without changing the original meaning, style, and context. A good translation must keep the message accurate and natural in the target language. Historical background of translation. Translation has developed throughout different periods. First, classical and early period, where translation focused mainly on religious and literary texts. Second, the professionalization period, when translation became a recognized profession with formal training and standard. Third, the technological and modern period, where technological and machine translation tools are widely used. Type of translation. There are two main types. First, literal versus pre-translation. Literal translation follow the exact word of the original text, while pre-translation focus more on copying the meaning naturally. Second, human and machine translation. Human translation is done by professional translator, while machine translation use technologies such as translation software or AI. Importance of translation in global communication. Translation is very important in today's global world. First, cross-culture understanding by helping people from different culture communicate effectively. Second, it's sport science and technological, allowing knowledge to be shared internationally. Third, it's play an important role in business and culture, especially in international trade and media. Translation is not only about language, but also meaning, culture, and communication in global context. Okay, that's all from me for this part. Now I would like to invite my friend to continue the next slide.
Okay, let's move to learning activity 2, providing a basic understanding of the principles, concepts, and practices of translation. So the definition of translation. Translation is the activity of transferring a message from the source language to the target language while maintaining meaning, context, and cultural nuances. It's not merely about word-for-word replacement, but an effort to deliver the message completely so that the reader or listener can understand it naturally. According to Monday 2022, translation requires the ability to understand not only language, but also culture and communication purpose. Therefore, translation is both a linguistic practice and a social activity involving cross-cultural interaction. B. Types of translation. Translation can be classified into four main types. The first one is interpreting or oral translation, done instantly and spontaneously, for example, in conferences or diplomatic meetings. Second is text translation, focuses on written text and usually takes more time for revision and editing. Third, audio-visual translation includes subtitling and dubbing, which must synchronize with audio and visual elements. And four, machine translation and post-editing, automatic translation by machines that still needs human correction to ensure accuracy and naturalness. Next slide. C. Scope of translation studies. Translation studies cover linguistic, sociocultural, semiotic, and cognitive dimensions. From a linguistic view, it focuses on grammatical and lexical equivalence between source and target languages. Recent corpus-based research shows that translation involves patterns of equivalence influenced by linguistic, cognitive, and sociocultural factors. D. Basic principles of translation. There are several fundamental principles: equivalence of meaning, maintaining the same message as in the source text through lexical, grammatical, or pragmatic correspondence, fidelity and transparency, balancing loyalty to the original text with readability in the target language, cultural context, understanding idioms, symbols, and cultural expressions. For example, kick the bucket cannot be translated literally but means to pass away. To handle cultural differences, translators can use domestication, making the text closer to the target culture, or foreignization, keeping the foreign flavor. Sometimes certain words are untranslatable, so translators use adaptation, transposition, or paraphrasing to keep the meaning intact. E. Process and technology. The translation process includes source text analysis, understanding structure, discourse type, and communicative purpose. Meaning transfer, conveying meaning from source to target language while maintaining grammar, pragmatics, and culture. And revision and editing, checking accuracy, fluency, and stylistic consistency. Revision may involve peer review for higher quality. In modern practice, translators also use technologies such as CAT tools, term bases, and translation memory to improve productivity and consistency. 6. G. Challenges in translation. Translators face challenges at different levels: lexical and syntactic differences, where sentence structures must be reorganized without changing meaning; lexical gaps, when certain words like serendipity have no direct equivalent; and cultural nuances, which require sensitivity to avoid misinterpretation. To overcome these, translators must combine linguistic skill, creativity, and cultural awareness. And then translators' competence. A competent translator should master linguistic competence, proficiency in both source and target languages, textual competence, understanding various text types, cultural competence, awareness of cultural norms and values, professional competence, using technology effectively, and maintaining ethics. These competences ensure that translation is accurate, natural, and contextually appropriate. H. Evaluation and quality. Translation quality is judged through accuracy, clarity, coherence, and style. Evaluations are often conducted using rubrics, peer review, or user feedback. Multiple revisions reflect the translator's professionalism and commitment to high-quality work. Ultimately, evaluation aims to ensure that the translation fulfills its communicative purpose effectively for the target audience. Next is Learning Activity 3. A. Introduction. Translation is not simply changing words from one language to another. It is a careful process or transferring meaning, style, and intention across languages and cultures. At the micro level, translation focuses on words, phrases, and clauses. Words may contain literal and cultural meanings, phrases show grammatical patterns, and clauses express logical relationships. Accuracy in these small units determines the quality of the whole text. B. Purpose and scope of micro-level translation. The purpose of micro-level translation is to ensure that the basic elements of a text are translated clearly and precisely. It is not just word substitution. Translators must consider grammar, idioms, register, audience, and context. Small mistakes in these areas can lead to major misunderstandings. Next slide. Okay, C. Relation to the overall translation process. At the same time, accurate translation of words and clauses ensures that the overall text is coherent and meaningful. Micro-level translation cannot be separated from macro-level translation, such as text analysis and contextual adaptation. The success of macro-level translation strongly depends on micro-level accuracy. If words or phrases are translated incorrectly, the overall meaning of the text can change. Okay, the next material will be continued by my partner. Thanks.
Okay. Next, we will talk about section D, translating words. So the book explained that translating word is not just replacing one word with another. Each word has meaning, feelings, and meaning from context. Because of grammar and culture, the translator must read the sentence carefully. So, word translation needs attention to meaning, context, and culture. That is why strategies are needed. And then next, meaning in context, polysemy and homony words. So one word can have multiple meanings. So like we said before, context is crucial. We can see the example of polysemy means one word with related meanings. So for example, head, it can be as body part or leader. Meanwhile, homony means some form and unrelated meanings like bank riverside versus finance. And these words carry social and cultural meaning. If translated literally, the meaning can be lost. So the translator must understand the culture behind the word. Next. Okay. Next is cultural specific or untranslatable terms. Some words come from culture and do not have direct equivalence. Examples include gotong royong, batik, or rendang, and this word carries social and cultural meaning. If translated literally, the meaning can be lost. So the translator must understand the culture behind the word. And then we have strategies for word translation. So the book explains strategies for word translation, help handle meaning and culture. First is borrowing, which keeps the original word like pizza. And then second is kalku, which translate word by word like supermarket. The meaning is not pasar super, but it is pasar swalayan. And then third is adaptation, used when cultures are different. And last is literal translation, which translate word for word when the meaning is suitable. So the book show that choosing the right strategies is very important. And then last for this chapter is translating phrases. A phrase is a group of words that work together as a one unit, and the meaning comes from the combination, not from each word alone. So word order and common usage must be considered. And the book explained that strategies like literal translation, borrowing, calcu, and adaptation and literal translation help keep the meaning clear and natural in the target language. Okay, next will be presented by my friends.
Thank you. I will explain slide 9 and 10, covering points I to N and based on the book Practice of Translation. written by Vicky Kartikamurti and colleges. I will start with point I, collocation and fixed expression. The book explains that collocation refers to words that naturally occur together in a language. These combinations are based on language habit and usage, not only grammar rules. For example, in English, we say make a mistake and strong coffee. If translated word for word into another language, the result might be grammatically correct, but unnatural. The authors also discuss fixed expression and idioms, such as break the ice, and these expressions cannot be translated literally because their meanings go beyond individual words. This section emphasizes that translators on must focus on meaning and natural usage rather than translating word by word. Next is point J, syntax structure and word order. The book highlights that different languages have different structural systems. Word order affects clarity and naturalness. For example, English places adjectives before nouns, such as a beautiful house, while Indonesian culture is different. Therefore, translators often need to adjust sentence structure. However, even when structure changes, the meaning must remain consistent. This shows that translation is about transferring meaning into a grammatically acceptable form in target language. Um, Now I will continue to next slide. Point L, translating clauses. Okay. A clause consists of a subject and a predicate and may function independently or dependently. When translating clauses, attention must be given to tense, connectors, and logical relationships. Connectors like because, although, and however determine how ideas relate to each other. If these are mistranslated, the overall meaning may change. The book emphasized that clarity and logical flow are essential in clause translation. Next is point A. Grammatical and cohesive features. Grammar elements such as tense, voice, and agreement must be carefully perceived. Translators may adjust the structure, but they must maintain accuracy. Cohesion devices, such as pronouns and connectors, ensure that the translated text flows smoothly and remains coherent. This shows that translation operates not only at word level, but also at text level. Next point N, strategies for clause translation. The book introduced several strategies, including literal translation, modulation, transposition, adaptation, reduction, and expansion. Literal translation can be used when structures are similar. However, when it sounds unnatural, translators must apply other strategies to maintain meaning and clarity. This section highlights that translators must be flexible and analytical in choosing the most appropriate strategy. For the next slide will be presented by my friends.
Okay, I will explain about idioms, proverbs, and figurative language in translation. In this activity, we learn about expressions that cannot be translated word by word because their meanings are not literal. These expressions are deeply connected to culture and context. If we translate them literally, the message can be wrong or confusing. Okay, part A, idioms. Idioms are defined as fixed expressions whose meanings cannot be understood word by word. This means that the meaning of an idiom is different from the meaning of each individual. For example, spill the beans doesn't mean dropping beans on the floor. It means revealing a secret. If we translate it literally into another language, the audience may misunderstand it. In the idioms are difficult to translate because they are culture-based, they carry emotional tone, they are often informal, their meaning depends on context. Okay, the main strategies are the first is use an equivalent idiom in the target language. If there is a similar idiom in the target language with the same meaning, we use it. The second is paraphrase the meaning. If there is no equivalent idiom, we explain the meaning in simple words. The third is provide explanation, especially in academic context. In formal or academic translation, we may translate the idiom and add explanation. Okay, part B, proverbs. Proverbs are short, well-known sayings that express general truths or moral lessons. Proverbs usually reflect cultural values, traditions, and community beliefs. For example, don't judge a book by its cover. These proverbs teach us not to judge someone based on appearance. When translating proverbs, we must focus on the message, not only the words. The strategies are the first is find an equivalent proverb. If the target language has a proverb with the same moral lesson, we use it. The second is paraphrase the meaning. If there is no equivalent proverb, we explain the moral message clearly. The third is combine literal translation and explanation. Sometimes we translate it and then clarify the meaning to avoid misunderstanding. Cultural understanding is very important because proverbs reflect the identity and wisdom of a community. Okay, next. Okay, part C, figurative language, such as that figurative language, such as metaphors and similes, creates imaginative meaning beyond the literal sense. This means figurative language gives deeper meaning and emotional effect. For example, he is a lion in battle. This doesn't mean he is an animal. It means he is brave and strong. Literal translation often fails when translating figurative language because it ignores the symbolic meaning. The strategies are the first is use an equivalent figure of speech. The second is focus on sense rather than words. The third is adapt adapt or explain the image when necessary. The core idea of activity 4 is that translation is not about translating words. It is about transferring meaning, culture, tone, and intention. Word for word, translation usually does not work for idioms, proverbs, and figurative expressions. Okay, we will talk about translation of scientific and technical texts. This type of translation is very different from literary translation. In scientific and technical text, accuracy is the most important element. Main characteristics of scientific and technical texts have these characteristics. The first is high precision and accuracy. The second is specialist terminology and abbreviations. The third is objective and structure style. And the fourth is functional purpose, such as giving instructions or reporting facts. For example, include medical texts, engineering manuals, research articles, and user guides. In this text, mistakes can cause serious misunderstanding or even safety risks. That is why translator must be very careful and responsible. And then main challenge mentions several challenges. The first is new terms or neologisms. Technology develops quickly, so new words appear frequently. The second is acronyms. Many technical texts contain abbreviations such as DNA, AA, or WHO. Translators must understand their meaning and context. The third is terminology consistency. One term. Okay, next. The fourth is numbers, symbols, and measurements. Translator must be accurate with units, symbols, and numerical data. These challenges require attention to detail and strong subject knowledge. Okay, next, case strategies. The first is terminology management. Translators should use glossaries and terminology database to maintain consistency. The second is use established equivalents. It is important to use official or widely accepted translations for technical terms. The third is apply descriptive or functional translation when needed. If there is no direct equivalent, the translator can explain the function or description of the term. The fourth is develop subject matter knowledge. Translators should understand the field they are translating, not just the language. For example, translating a medical text requires basic knowledge or medical concepts. Okay, next, common errors. Common errors such as mistranslating technical terms, inconsistent terminology, misinterpreting data or symbols. These errors reduce credibility and may cause serious problems.
Okay. Thank you, dear. Next, we will enter the introduction to translation study section. First, audiovisual and digital translation help people understand global media, and the book explained that translation is not only changing words, but transferring meaning clearly with the right context and culture. In media, this is done through subtitling and dubbing. Subtitling keeps the original voice and add text on the screen, but viewers must read. And then doubling replaces the original voice, so it is easier to watch. Both methods support cross-cultural communication. And then B, audiovisual translation or AVT. AVT is translation for media with sound and image, such as films, TV show, video games, and online context. It includes subtitling, dubbing, voiceover, and audio description. And AVT helps global understanding, support language learning, and improve accessibility for people with disabilities. And then digital translation. Uh, it means translation using digital tools and AI such as Google Translation, AI subtitles, or real-time speech translation. It is fast, easy to access, and can translate text, audio, and video. And however, translation still needs human attention to meaning and context to keep the message clear. And for the next slide, will be presented by my friends.
Okay. Now I will continue with point D, the difference of audiovisual and digital translation practice. Audiovisual translation, or AVT, refers to translating media such as films, television shows, and video games. It concludes subtitling and dubbing, and it focuses on synchronizing translation with sound and images. Meanwhile, digital translation practice involves using digital tools and AI technologies to translate text, audio, and multimedia content. It emphasizes speed and accessibility. So, audiovisual focuses on media synchronization, while digital translation highlights technological support. Lastly, point E, subtitling and dubbing. Subtitling keeps the original voice and provides written translation on screen. It is widely used in Indonesia and helps audience understand content while still hearing the original language. And meanwhile, dubbing replaces the original voice with translated speech. It is commonly used for children's programs and makes content easier to understand for a certain audience. This part of the book shows that translation today is not only linguistic work but also cultural and technological practices. For conclusion, will be continue with my friends.
Okay. In conclusion, this book explains that translation is the process of transferring meaning from one language to another while maintaining the message, context, and cultural sense. It highlights that good translation requires a deep understanding of words, phrases, clauses, and expressions. Translators must carefully choose strategies that fit the situation, purpose, and audience. Overall, the book emphasizes that translation is not simply about replacing words. It is about ensuring clear communication, maintaining accuracy, and taking responsibility in bridging languages and cultures. That concludes our presentation. I'll now hand it back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to all presenter for the insightful presentation. Now we will move to the question and answer session. For participant who would like to ask question, please raise your hand or write your question in the chat box.
Okay, my question is, uh, uh, before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Diki Setiawan and I'm from Group 1. And I want to asking to Group 2, why is translation not always done literally, even when the grammar is correct? Why? That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, Fatima.
Okay, I have a question. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vicky Fatia Permasari, and I want um, how does micro level translation influence the overall quality of a text? Maybe that's all of my question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Excuse me, moderator, can I answer the question from Rahmawati?
Yes.
Okay. The question is, why is terminology management important in scientific and technical translation? So the answer is because scientific texts require consistency and precision, and inconsistent or incorrect terms can cause misunderstanding, confusion, or even safety risks. And that's why glossaries and subject knowledge are essential. Thank you.
Moderator, can I answer the question from Fauzan? The question is, why is translation not always done literally even when the grammar is correct? The answer is because correct grammar doesn't guarantee correct meaning. Literal translation can ignore context, culture, and natural expression. A good translation focuses on equivalence of meaning, not just word by word accuracy. Do you understand, Mr. Fauzan?
Yes,
Do you understand?
understand, Miss. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I will answer a question from Vicky. Your question is, why is translation not always done literally, even when the grammar is correct? Because correct grammar doesn't guarantee correct meaning. Literal translation can ignore context, culture, and natural expression, right? So a good translation focuses on equivalence of meaning, not just word by word accuracy. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Miss Marsanda.
Okay, let me answer the questions from Siti Fatimah. How does micro-level translation influence the overall quality of a text? So, micro-level translation, words, phrases, and clauses directly affects macro-level meaning. A small mistake in word choice or grammar can change the whole message and reduce clarity and coherence. That's all. Did you get it?
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any others question? I think there are no more question. So as the time has come to the end of our session, we will now conclude today's webinar. Thank you to all presenters for the excellent presentation and to all participants for your active participation. We hope that today's session has provided valuable insight and new knowledge for all of us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.